Coming up on Cronkite News, all counties are required to do some hand counts to ensure machine tabulations are accurate. We'll explain what a hand count actually requires.
Plus, the Supreme Court is weighing in on the Indian Child Welfare Act, what critics outside the courthouse are saying about the case.
And later, how a group of Arizona football players at the Naval Academy are honoring veterans before their game this holiday weekend.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Alexia Stambridge.
And I'm Jacob Flores. Thank you for joining us.
There's been a lot of talk about counties requiring full hand counts of election results, but Arizona law already allows for counties to do a limited hand count audit to compare those results to the machine count. Yuri Hahn shares how the hand count works in Maricopa County.
In the building behind me, workers are busy filing in their ballots. Also in this building, in a different room, there are teams of 2 people from different political parties separating the ballots from the envelopes and getting it ready to be counted. This is just one part in the process to ensure every vote gets counted accurately.
The counting of ballots continues nowadays after the election. This is only part of the process. The hand count is also well underway.
And a lot of folks don't know that we've always, well, for 16 years now, in 2006, legislation was passed that Arizona is mandated to do a hand count audit review. Now, that doesn't mean that we're hand counting all 100% of the ballots.
Ray Valenzuela is the co-director of elections and oversees mail-in voting and election services at Maricopa County Recorder's Office. He says it's a random sample of the ballots that are being hand counted. In the 2022 primary election, Maricopa County counted 2% of the election day ballots and 1% of early ballots.
We'll take the results of the machine and they'll compare that, say this is what we got and what did the machine say, and see if it is matching to ensure the machines were counted correctly.
Valenzuela says political parties help with the hand count.
We will have members appointed by the Democrat, Republican, and Libertarian Party, which are the recognized parties in Arizona, and those will give us the hand count board members. So those are not, it's not us saying everything matched, it's literally those individuals, a table of 3.
The county offers training for those conducting the hand count.
We actually offer what we call a hands-on training because it is kind of a little bit difficult to do a presentation. It's easier when you have the ballots in hand. You're able to show what we call stack to a candidate, and so on. So we do a hands-on training actually on the day of the actual audit, which for this election will be following the primary or the general, November 8th. So it'll be on Saturday, November 12th, we'll begin the hand count audit review.
Prop 211 is on its way to passing after overwhelming support after the latest vote count. If passed, it would require political campaigns to reveal the sources of so-called dark money contributions. Under current laws, campaign contributions can stay anonymous, allowing unlimited amounts of money to be used for influencing elections. The new proposed law would require campaigns to identify donors who contribute a total of more than $5,000. The law will take effect once the election is certified by the governor and Secretary of State.
Advocates call it the gold standard of child welfare laws. Critics say the Indian Child Welfare Act, which gives Native families priority for placement of Indigenous foster children, is racist and unconstitutional. The Supreme Court heard arguments in the case yesterday. Cronkite News reporter Haley Smilo has the story from our Washington bureau.
Justices spent hours grappling with whether the Indian Child Welfare Act should be enforced on Native families. But outside the court, the answer was clear.
We will not go back to a time when our children were stolen and taken away from their homes. We will not go back to a time when we lost our voice and our power to protect our families.
Martin was one of the many tribal leaders and protesters at the court who argued that ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act, is needed to keep tribal cultures and traditions strong after generations of Native children being separated from their families. Under the law, tribes and Indigenous families have priority when it comes to placing a Native child for adoption or foster care. The law was challenged by a white couple from Texas, the Rakeens, whose effort to adopt a Navajo child were stalled by ICWA. They argue that it is racist and unconstitutional. But for some in the crowd, like dancer Angela Glaudu, the arguments in Bracken v. Holland hit close to home.
I'm a former foster child, and all my siblings were adopted out to non-Indigenous families and taken from my mother, and it's imperative that we keep our children with our communities.
The Arizona Department of Child Safety says there were 957 Native American children in the foster care system this fall, which means a ruling in the case will deeply impact Arizona, says Autumn Adams, a student at the Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law.
Arizona is home to 22 federally recognized tribes, so the impact will be very deeply felt, considering just the sheer amount of Native population.
Impacts that the Indian community wants to make sure go its way. Vaughn Sharp, the president of the National Congress of American Indians, said it's an issue she will not stop fighting for.
We know that this fight is long from over. We know that for generations to come, we're going to come back stronger, more resilient, more determined, and we will not give up on a single child.
Well, tribal leaders say they're confident of a win. We're not likely to know for months, with a decision not likely before late spring or early summer. From the Supreme Court, Haley Smilo, Cronkite News.
Charles Martin said that more than 500 tribes, 87 members of Congress, and 24 states have signed on in support of upholding ICWA, but it's unlikely that a decision in this case will come anytime soon.
As we head toward the holiday season, inflation is still a problem, but it is trending in the downward direction. The Federal Reserve hasn't completely tamed inflation yet, but some analysts say things are improving. Americans paid only 7.7% more for items during the 12-month period that ended in October, compared to the more than 8% in September, according to the Consumer Price Index report released earlier today. Some economic officials say this shows inflation is moving in the right direction.
Do you use more water than your neighbors? Coming up on Cronkite News, how the city of Phoenix is using some new water reports to inspire people to conserve.
And Hurricane Nicole made landfall in Florida this morning. We'll show you the impact it's had on the state already.
The weather around Phoenix is just beautiful today. Let's take a look at the weather around the valley.
Thank you for joining us for the special edition of Cronkite News. Here are the top stories that we're tracking today at noon.
Some of the best players for their program.
Stream the best of PBS on any device with the PBS Video app. All your favorite drama, history, science, news, and documentaries, all in one place. Watch your PBS station live or catch up on the shows you missed. Discover new favorites from PBS and locally produced shows from your station.
Sign in and start streaming today.
Okay, let's go right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge?
You can do anything.
History is today.
Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just gonna love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
Most cities across the valley are in Stage 1 water alerts due to the ongoing drought and low levels in the Colorado River. But each city is handling water efforts differently. Reporter Olivia Doles tells us the city of Phoenix focuses on education.
Many Phoenix residents received a report that measures how much water they used April through June of this year. The report allows residents to gauge water use and see where they can save. We use it every day. From washing hands to cleaning dishes. Water. But do you know how much of it you are actually using? Phoenix residents recently received reports from the city showing them their water usage. For Levine resident Stephanie Paleo, the reports show her conservation efforts pay off.
Getting the report was interesting because we've made an effort to conserve our water, and it did show that we're using a fraction of what all our neighbors in our area are using.
The report shows single-family homes over 3 months in comparison to their neighbors. Ahwatukee resident Carol Ann Maruziak is worried about the accuracy of the report she received because she says it monitored water use while she was out of town.
5 months. Nobody was here doing laundry. Nobody's here washing dishes, flushing toilets, taking showers, nothing. How could we possibly use 3 times more than our neighbors who are here full-time?
Max Wilson, the water conservation coordinator with the City of Phoenix, says there is a process to gauge how much water residents use.
We look at that meter data, which is literally a little machine that spins around as water moves through it and allows us to calculate exactly how much water is going into each one of the residences.
Paleo also has concerns about accuracy, but she appreciates the information.
I actually agree with that. I think it's important for people to recognize, as long as the information is accurate, that's the only problem I had with it.
Wilson says that one explanation for higher water usage could be water leaks.
In general, we ask folks to check for leaks about 4 times a year and fix leaks that they find within a week of finding them.
If nothing else, a piece of paper helps residents see a connection between water conservation and water usage.
My eyes are opening up to where I say, okay, I'm one person. I can't make a huge difference, but it's a start.
The City of Phoenix plans to hold town halls this month to answer questions and help advise people on what they can do to improve their water usage. In the newsroom, Olivia Doles, Cronkite News.
Hurricane Nicole made landfall in Florida this morning. This is just 6 weeks after the state was hit by Hurricane Ian. Nicole is the first hurricane to strike the U.S. this late in the year in almost 40 years. County officials say high tides and coastal erosion are a major concern right now. Crews across Florida are working to restore power knocked out by wind speeds as high as 75 miles per hour. Tropical storm warnings are also in effect for parts of Georgia and South Carolina. Here in Arizona, we've seen in the Cronkite Weather Center with the full forecast.
Yes, we will have nice weather this weekend, but first let's get into the evening forecast. At 6 p.m. we have a temperature of 64 degrees, and as the night goes on, the temperatures will lower, and we'll eventually at 10 p.m. hit 56 degrees in our mid-50s. Moving on to the high temperatures for Friday throughout our state. 72 degrees is going to be our highest high in the southwest part of the state in Yuma, with our local temperature in Phoenix being 71 degrees as that high, and our lowest high temperatures are going to be in the northern side of the state in Flagstaff and in Grand Canyon at 41 degrees. And for our futurecast for the weekend, just some light cloud coverage throughout the state, but nothing too major going on through Sunday afternoon. And for our 8-day forecast, the average temperature at this time of year, our average low is 56 degrees and our average high is 79 degrees. For the 8-day forecast, you can see that we are a little bit below average for this time of year, with our lows being in the mid to low 40s and our highs being in the highest 60s and the low 70s. It's a great time to be outside in Arizona. From the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Lindsay Selzer.
I'm Ryan Blank. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. A group of friends have been traveling to college football games for years. Their trip to ASU next.
It's prime time on your time. Watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons, your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS. When you support Arizona PBS, you plant a seed. Seeds that provide educational outreach in our community. Seeds that put our digital resources to work. Seeds that foster the trusted news coverage you expect from PBS. And seeds that continue the amazing PBS programs you love. But our garden can't keep growing without your support. Visit our website to see all the ways you can help our garden grow. Plant a seed with Arizona PBS today.
Welcome back to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Ryan Blank. The World Cup roster is now set for Team USA. Head coach Greg Berhalter announced his final 26-man roster yesterday. The Stars and Stripes are the youngest team competing in the tournament, and the core of the team is known as the Golden Generation. And Berhalter knows the impact that the World Cup will have on their legacy.
I think, though, the final determination on this group, and I've said this before, will be at the World Cup. And that's just how generations are measured. You know, we can talk, oh yeah, it's great, we beat Mexico 3 times, or we won a Gold Cup or a Nations League, but the real measuring stick for this group is certainly going to be how we perform in Qatar.
Former FC Tucson defender and current New York Red Bull Aaron Long was named to the final roster. Long and the U.S. men's national team will begin their quest for the Cup on Monday, November 21st. After beating Arizona in last week's season finale, the Arizona State women's soccer team earned itself a bid to the NCAA tournament. Saturday, led by Pac-12 Forward of the Year Nicole Douglas, the Sun Devils finished with a 9-5-3 record, which was 5th best in the conference. Still, they did not get home field advantage, and head coach Graham Winkworth was surprised by the selection committee's decision.
So I'm more disappointed for our fans than anything else, because the environment that was created on Friday night was incredible, and I would have loved to have had another night like that. Having said that, after we got over that initial disappointment, I'm delighted to be selected.
30 years ago at Sun Devil Stadium, a tradition between childhood friends began. Now it has grown beyond what they thought was possible, and Cronkite News reporter Victoria Samuels was there for the reunion.
In 1992, Jimmy Powers and 3 of his childhood friends embarked on their first trip to a college football game. Little did they know this tradition would go on to last 3 decades, and their group of 4 would grow to 45.
It's like we knew each other from way back when we were kids. I mean, we played basketball together, CYO basketball, Pop Warner football. Today still believe we're athletes, but you know, we're a little bit older, but we just enjoy each other's company is really what it comes down to.
The members are from Woodside, Queens, a small town in New York. Now, in honor of Mr. Powers, who passed away last year from Parkinson's disease, the group has come back to Arizona State, where it all started 30 years ago.
We just love the camaraderie and the atmosphere, and you know, there's nothing like a college campus on game day.
The men have attended college football games all around the country. This annual trip brings them joy and a sense of brotherhood.
We're veterans, and we have some 9/11 guys, and you know, we've had some tragedy in our lives, but through it all, we've still been able to stay strong and stay together.
Even though 12 members have passed away, the group continues to live on, creating new memories every year and embracing life while they can.
One thing I've learned after 9/11, carpe diem. Live life to its fullest. And that's what we try and do, and that's why we try to laugh, we try to smile, no matter what happens, you know.
The multi-generational group hopes that this tradition will continue for many years to come. In Tempe, Victoria Samuels, Cronkite News.
There's another big weekend of college football ahead, including one in Annapolis between the Naval Academy and Notre Dame. But this weekend, there will be more than just football on the line for some midshipman players, as Haley Smilo reports from our Washington bureau.
With a woeful 2022 season winding down and the game against Notre Dame looming, Naval Academy players could be forgiven if they were just focused on Saturday's game. But midshipmen from Arizona said they'll still expect to pause Friday in honor of Veterans Day.
For Veterans Day, we definitely are going to take the time to kind of remember all those who have served and those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. I think it's definitely going to elevate our game.
Velez, a sophomore wide receiver who played his prep football days at Brophy, is one of 5 Arizonans on the midshipmen's roster.
It's an honor to be able to go to school here and play football and like represent the Navy as a whole, and grateful that we get to be in a place with the freedoms that we have.
Even though they won't be playing on the holiday, Pena says it will be in the back of his mind when he takes the field Saturday.
It's a day of remembrance and honoring the people who have fallen and still continue to serve this country and protect the freedoms that we have. I think I'll definitely be thinking about that.
Chandler product Max Sandlin says Veterans Day has always been a special occasion and a time to honor his relatives. Sandlin's sister is already in the Navy. His dad and grandfather both served in the Marines, and his mom was in the Army.
For me, it was the day I could celebrate my parents and my grandparents, and just kind of the people who have gone before and served.
His plans for the day are simple: drinking a Guinness, his grandfather's favorite beer, and remembering a friend who recently passed. Like Sandlin, Bellas also has family in the military, with one brother stationed at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, and another about to earn his commission in the Marines.
When Veterans Day comes, not only am I thinking about all the people who have served before, but also, those who are currently serving.
That doesn't mean they haven't forgotten about the game. At 3-6, the midshipmen are set to post their 4th losing season in the last 5 years, and they face a Notre Dame team Saturday that is ranked 20th by the Associated Press, but still fighting for respectability with a 6-3 record. Bella says they will be ready.
There's a lot of tradition behind Navy football. It's definitely an honor to be wearing Navy colors on Saturdays.
In Washington, Haley Smilo, Cronkite News.
Navy and Notre Dame have played annually since World War II and have faced each other a total of 92 times. However, the Naval Academy has just won 13 of those games. That's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Jacob.
Coming up after the break, a World War II veteran has a one-of-a-kind experience thanks to a Mesa nonprofit.
Let's go right up in here and start having some fun.
Such a thrill to be able to do this.
Recreation is the gateway drug to conservation.
How do you create that perfect straight edge? You can do anything. History is today. Chasing the American dream.
Experience something personal.
A place of imagination.
I can go anywhere I want to go.
You guys are just gonna love it.
An entertainment experience unlike anything.
There's something for everyone with Passport on the PBS Video app.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
Evil can find its roots so easily in an English village.
The landscape of criminal investigation.
Murder, almost certainly.
Modern policing methods.
We endeavor to do our best.
We're working hard to solve this case.
And to make sure justice gets done.
It's a new adventure. And the rest, as they say, is mystery. I can hardly wait.
Art was one of the powers that made life life. I think we all believed that.
This is a real life story of a real live person.
This was my only connection to my culture.
Fight the power.
Our stories deserve to be heard.
You're passionate and you respect your heritage. That is a perfect recipe.
Now is the time for the Reformation. Now is the time to rebuild the nation.
That's amazing.
You're making me cry.
Some girls can go out there and just steal a spotlight.
This is the moment that we've all been waiting for.
Everyone has something to contribute to humanity. The arts are the thing that does that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Recently, Mesa-based nonprofit Grounded No More made its 500th flight. Aboard was 100-year-old World War II veteran Ted Giannone. Cronkite News reporter Samantha Chow was there for liftoff.
Here he goes, Ted. Your wheels are up. Lift up your feet, Ted. Lift them up. Oh my God, he's having so much fun. Go for it, Ted. Go, go, go. Have fun, have fun, have fun.
This flight has been on my radar for about a year. I just checked the logbooks and I just happened to look at it and I said, oh my goodness, we're going to take up our 500th guy this year.
Hey folks, thank you all so much for coming out today as we honor this amazing World War II veteran, Ted Giannone, U.S. Navy.
We were looking specifically for somebody special.
It's been years since I've been in an aircraft. I worked on aircraft in the Navy. I was an aircraft mechanic and also threw in a turret in a torpedo bomber plane.
We have an intercom, so I give him a little history of the airplane. I show him some of the cool sights around the area.
I hope you can hear me. I just want to say God bless you for your courage, your sacrifice, and your service to our country. You're one of my heroes, Ted, and this is a real honor for me.
All this is so unbelievable, and you know, for a guy like me, I'm not, you know, I'm just a guy. Nothing special, you know, I'm no hero.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I can't believe this is all happening.
The one thing I've noticed about these veterans, especially the older ones, they get in that airplane and you watch them and they're slow getting in, they're very methodical, but when they jump out, they've gone from 100 years old back to an 18-year-old. It's amazing.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.